Hi, everyone. I think we're live. Yeah. So welcome to PARSIQ's live stream. Today we have a slightly different format from the standard AMAs we've done before. And we're doing a Q&A session with a fireside chat discussion with myself and PARSIQ CTO Danny. And due to popular demand, something that the community has been really waiting for a long time, we have PARSIQ Chief Blockchain Architect Anatoly.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, and this session will be in celebration of a very, very productive week, the launch of one of PARSIQ's core products of the PARSIQ network, the Tsunami API, which has now launched on 4 different blockchains and has had over 3 dozen alpha testers, with much more in the pipeline, with really exceptional feedback. I just want to say, really proud of the team for delivering this milestone. Thank you to the community for supporting us on this change of the roadmap, and I think it was the best decision. Yeah, so far the feedback has been amazing. Really, we are on the right path here, and there's so much more to do. So without further, I will probably jump into the pre-collected questions from the community, and we'll try to answer some of them as best as we can, and we will dive into further discussion. So this is a popular question about the Tsunami API and the whole new direction of the PARSIQ network. Will the smart trigger and other core functionalities be discontinued? So Danny, I think I'll leave this one to you.
All right. So we don't have a plan to discount it completely. Some of our clients are, like a lot of our clients, still using the smart triggers, and there is a lot of smaller B2C use cases as well, because like the new platform is, I would say it's like from developers to developers. Even in B2B context, it's still from developers to developers, and our core like PARSIQ core platform allows a simple no code, low code approach for like smaller clients and easier use cases. So I think it will not be going anywhere anytime soon, but we will definitely try to re-onboard the bigger clients to our Tsunami API and new set of products.
Yeah, and just to add to this, so I think there was also a question somewhere about this real-time events. So push-based events, just like they were on the PARSIQ core platform, will be available on Tsunami as well, right?
Yes, they will. It actually will be slightly different from the platform, because platform was done in with more human readable approach, and Tsunami actually follows more like a developer approach, so it will be a little bit different. But then on the other hand, Tsunami will give some benefits over old platform when it comes to push based data, because it will not have like a strict limitation on how many action it produces and so far so on.
Yeah, I think this is a good chance to ask Anatoly his thoughts. I mean, we've discussed this a lot back when we started PARSIQ, 18, 19. So what's the, let's say, differentiation and advantages, key differences between querying historical data, pull-based, pinging the APIs versus processing real-time streams of events and push-based delivery? And what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, just want to add some comments on the fate of the smart triggers, because I would say that the technology that works under smart triggers, it is still used. It is still powering our ability to react to different events, to different situations in the blockchain. And as well, but we discovered that the only concentration on the real-time notifications, it is not sufficient to fulfill expectations of our clients, because in most cases they want to process some amount, and sometimes a big amount, of historical data, and then just to switch to the real-time updates of what they already already analyzed. And in this case, it is how Tsunami API even born. So we started to collect data, and as I remember from the very first pictures how PARSIQ should work, it always be the database. So we have a data stream that is split in two directions. One direction fills our databases for all types of forensics, all types of what we can do with historical data, and the other stream should be consumed by the platform where users can attach to these events. But as in every startup, we are just following the needs of the market, and now we see that the historical data even collected in that way, how we prepared and how we dissected all the blocks into events, into calls, into much more detailed way in comparison as our competitors do, and ability to deliver these things. I would say that it is really what our clients are expecting from us for now.
Thanks, Anatoly. Let me, as long as you were on the topic of competition and other types of data solutions for the blockchain and the key differences, so I think we should take this question next. What's the main advantage PARSIQ has over competition that allows Tsunami overcome them in speed and precision? What stops them, or at least makes it difficult for them to catch up with Tsunami?
I would say that firstly, we have our own, maybe it is not very popular in decentralized world, word proprietary format, how we maintain the data. But, and I believe that at some moment we even will publish all the data structures, how we're processing data, how we're storing it. But it really allows us to process data in a lightning manner, I would say. And this is one of the most important things. And I would say that we even considering such functionalities that are absolutely missing in big data, in big data that is connected to the blockchain functionalities, like, for example, cases where you can fetch all the events from the transactions where particular other events happened. For example, we can answer, for example, can you give me all transfers from the blocks, from the transactions where given event happened. And this given event is not a transfer, it's some semantic event. Yet this feature is highly anticipated by users, but now we are just experimenting with such features because it means functionality like joins. And joins, they are traditionally very hard to implement for big data providers. And so for now, at least in ad hoc client requests, we can organize such data streams, and it's a very big difference.
That's actually a great example because of the way how we structured and processed all of the blockchain data. It actually makes it easy for us to create like custom and more complex data cases when like one entity is dependent on the other entities with some additional like business logic behind that. It just makes it easy for us to work on these cases now.
Yeah, I would also like to add, in terms of competition, I mean, who are the competitors? It's usually like node APIs, sort of things like Infura and others. They are not the same. They are proxies to the nodes, right? But we have ready-made data that you can ask and take at any point. And with the data lakes, we'll have translated events, which means it's aggregated data, it's specific data, custom tailored data for a specific use case, like NFTs, like a certain protocol, like DeFi and DEXs. So it is completely different. I mean, we do have the nodes, just like those node API providers. We have so much more. Then we have other competitors, such as the blockchain data indexers. Like Anatoly and Daniil already mentioned, the differences in the architecture and the data structures. So that comes with really great speed, scalability, throughput, and distributed nodes and databases means that no data gets lost, and so on and so forth. We've had excellent feedback from alpha testers. Well, a lot of them said it's the fastest they've ever used. And some said that it gives data that other types of data that other data providers do not provide. We've had those complaining that other node APIs and data providers can take like minutes, hours, or days to resync new blocks, resync the nodes to add information from the new blocks, and so on. So all feedback has been extremely positive, and we are quite certain that we have a competitive market advantage here with our technology. Additional use cases, we don't only provide node data, and the indexed historical data, but the real-time streams with push-based delivery on top. And we have our own storage using data hubs, where you can maintain state and aggregate this data with a lot of other perks that haven't been announced yet. Let's take the next question. Is PARSIQ aggressively targeting particular projects to onboard Tsunami? It would be fantastic to be able to announce a top 100 market cap project to the list of users. We do not discriminate. So if someone wants blockchain data, whether they're big, small, DeFi, CeFi, they're all welcome to use it. The list of alpha testers and the project in the pipeline is all over the place. We have DeFi projects starting from big protocols, really big ones. I mean, those that have like over 300 million in TVL and more, up to smaller ones, medium-sized ones. There are centralized service providers, analytics platforms. There are CeFi companies, big and small. So I think, yeah, we won't discriminate. So the idea is to give everyone easy access to blockchain data. Will we be able to disclose everyone involved in the alpha beta testing? We put some initial names up on our website. So obviously there are a lot more. So yeah, one by one, I think you will be seeing official announcements regarding some companies, some projects, some protocols, and dApps who are using it. Depending on the commitment and whether they want to be revealed or not. Tsunami is now live on multiple chains. Which chain appears to be the most popular in terms of usage so far?
All right, probably I can take this one. I would say the two main chains would be Polygon and Ethereum, because serious big projects tend to launch there nowadays, because back in the days there was no alternative to BNB actually. So if protocols wanted to launch on a chain that where transaction doesn't cost $100, it was BNB, but nowadays it's mostly it goes towards Polygon, and there is still a lot of projects on Ethereum. So I would say these two are main chains so far.
Yeah, Anatoly, what's your opinion on adding more chains, EVM versus non-EVM, and so on and so forth?
No, I would say that what I see, it is a very strange bias from non-EVM chain to implement EVM on top of them, and there is as well a demand from monitoring their EVM versions that are implemented on top of non-EVM, like in Aurora in Near, or for example, for the solution that will work with Solana. But I would say that non-EVM chains, they are harder to monitor because of binary nature of their messages, of their what they are transferring, because EVM chains, they are more transparent in terms of what is happening, how it's being executed. And I would say that probably such chains like Solana and Near, they will be monitored in both versions as EVM and non-EVM. But I would say that because of the high throughput of corresponding blockchains, we are still working on the architectural solution for maintaining such big data sets in the form. And we already tested our approach on Polygon, because the Polygon itself is rather quick blockchain here. But of course, things like Solana, they are much more quicker. So I would say that firstly, it will be easier for us to add for monitoring EVM-based blockchains. But as we see more traction for the non-EVM chains, we will definitely add them. But it is interesting that for now, the most the most liquidity is just migrating from the Ethereum to Polygon.
Definitely, and we will add more chains. EVM chains, like Anatoly said, are easier to integrate for us to index. Non-EVM is a bit tougher, but we'll definitely do them as well. And another thing is we will be working with layer 2 scaling solutions. That is in the plans. Danny, what do you think about subchains? So we've seen Avalanche launch subnets, Polygon is doing supernets on Polygon Edge, and we've seen things like app chains. So DYDX launching their app on a Cosmos, on their own Cosmos chain, without basically one chain for one app or one chain for one game, and that's it.
Yeah, I think there are 2 points of view on that I have. First of all, like from the decentralized perspective, it kind of kills the vibe, because mostly these projects are going to own the data like completely, because it is unlikely that someone's going to be like, there will be a lot of validators for these networks, and mostly like projects will be there to decide. Well, depends on the model and type of blockchain, but still this part is kind of shady zone for me, at least for now. But generally, nevertheless, all of these solutions will need monitoring solutions. They will need data, and they will need real-time data as well. And we actually had some conversations with very initial conversations with Polygon, and they were interested whether we can bring Tsunami on Polygon Edge. And it is quite interesting topic, because it will be a big achievement if we actually could automate these things and make Tsunami available on all Polygon Edge subnets. If we can make an automated solution there, like when you roll out the new chain, you get like almost instantly you get a Tsunami there. That would be very interesting, and I think those things are doable.
Yeah, definitely. And imagine if like you're a big game or a big DApp and you require your own subnet or subchain or supernet dedicated only to your DApp or game, and you launch, and in a matter of hours, the API Tsunami is ready to support your subchain. So building this framework would be quite good if these subchains pick up. Any news on whether Uniswap, AAVE are using or will use Tsunami? So we have this concept of data lakes, dedicated APIs for translated, process specific, custom tailored data, and we will build dedicated data lakes for some of the really big protocols like Uniswap and AAVE. Now we've connected and worked with teams of those teams before, so we will definitely be looking to work with them on these data lakes, because everyone benefits, their community, everyone using Uniswap data, like price aggregators, analytics platforms, and index traders, so on. And similar for AAVE, whether they will use it for their backend, that's a good question. I guess that will depend on what the roadmap is, what's the implementation right now, and how well we build these data lakes. AAVE had custom triggers set up originally. Will they move across to using Tsunami now? So the custom AAVE triggers are still live on the core PARSIQ platform, But using the AAVE data lake that I mentioned, just you will be able to get this data as well, and much more. Have any DEXs or SEXs shown interest in using Tsunami? Yeah, we have a couple of DEXs in the alpha tester pipeline, and not DEXs, but we definitely have multiple CFI companies, some of them quite large, who have tested it and are happy. We need to be able to now act on our triggers. Yeah, you can still use the triggers on the old platform, but once the real-time push-based approach is implemented on Tsunami, you can set them up there as well. When will nCase be available? So we have no set date right now, because, as you know, it's all hands on deck with the PARSIQ network, which is Tsunami, data lakes, data hubs, SDK. The whole roadmap has been published on our blog, and I sent it in my CEO letter. Will it be included in Tsunami or be its own product? Now, nCase itself is its own product, but it benefits a lot from a layer of blockchain data provided by Tsunami, because if you set up like payment infrastructure, non-custodial payment infrastructure, you want to know immediately on your side like what's actually going on there, and that's where Tsunami will come in. What's the plan for social media content? Is PARSIQ going to now host a bunch of videos about Tsunami, overview, use cases, performance? So it's quite a developer-oriented product. So I think the main goal would be to publish like improve documentation, expand documentation, do some educational content, and of course, once we implement the SDK, there could be some really good hackathons for people to build data lakes on top of PARSIQ. So, Danny, you have anything to add?
I actually heard that we have some educational content on the way already about Tsunami. But generally, I would agree that as a developer product, it's probably the most important stuff is good documentation. And yeah, we have some things coming like SDKs, and it's important to both have good documentation and understandable code there. But I think we will get to the point where we focus more on educational content. And I think definitely at some point we will publish some performance testing with some of the other platforms, just to kind of show off Tsunami API and data lakes.
Yep, and we're planning for the usage dashboard, so you can see number of requests and calls and everything.
Yeah, you will generally have like overview, like the whole overview of the system. You can see what are the latest blocks, how many transactions, events, how much data was processed in like last 24 hours, this kind of stuff.
Anatoly, I'm wondering if blockchain data becomes surfable like the internet for Tsunami. What can be done with this? Any thoughts?
I would say that Tsunami, while being developer-oriented things, also deserves some its own face, and the best type how data could be presented is our own block explorer that will absolutely unveil the power of what we can do at which depth we are while processing blockchains. So yes, it should become surfable like internet.
And I would like to add that we do have on the roadmap something we called PARSIQ Atlas, which is pretty much like an application layer on top, because Tsunami is mostly a B2B or B2D product, and we are planning to build something that anyone can use, even if you're not a developer, not a technical person, to be able to get interesting data sort of by surfing different dApps and protocols and other types of applications on the blockchain and get relevant, insightful data from them. It has been alluded to that the PRQ token will be the utility token or means of use by holding PRQ access to API queries. So yes, the same model will be implemented as with the PARSIQ core platform will be implemented for the PARSIQ network. But in addition, I think this is much more interesting, is we have the data lakes. So data lakes, dedicated APIs for custom tailored, aggregated data for specific use cases, NFT data lake, Uniswap data lake, so on and so forth, could be countless. And there were multiple types of data lakes that we built as the PARSIQ team, and also those that third parties can build using our SDK. And the idea here is that you would have to stake a certain amount of PARSIQ tokens. If you don't have the tokens, don't want to buy them, then you're free to rent them from the IQ protocol renting pool. But you have to have them either rented or purchased, and to be able to deploy and run the data lake on the PARSIQ network. And the idea is that you can make it public, the data lake that you built and deployed on PARSIQ, or you can make it private and implement some kind of payment fee for people to get access to it, where a revenue share model will be implemented for the person who built it and for the PARSIQ network. In addition, we have plans for a PARSIQ DAO, where different types of voting can occur, including things like incentivizing developers to build on top of the PARSIQ network, grants, and other things that are beneficial for the growth of the PARSIQ network. All right, did we cover most of the questions here? Let me check. All right, I think here's one more. What kind of doors will Tsunami potentially open for the crypto space in terms of innovation and new products? Any takers?
Not me.
It's a question about the future, because ability to react quickly and precisely on the on top of the data is always the benefit for any type. And I believe that this is a question about what new types of crypto things you can expect in near future? It's an open question. But I believe that with such big amounts of data easily consumable will allow users to create their own fast prediction mechanisms. For example, if on such data you can easily apply different statistical techniques like famous principal component analysis, when, for example, you are just monitoring, for example, you are monitoring hundreds of cryptocurrency rates, but when applying principal component analysis to them, you discover that there are only 3 factors, and you can reconstruct them in real time. It's just a example of applications, and probably such type will allow to create different types of derivatives, for example. Lot of different things. Just an open question about the future.
Yeah, as long as we're on the topic of the future, there was a question about the roadmap going forward. So we have a roadmap up until a certain point published. So this is still the plan. It's still on track. And beyond that time frame, we do have certain goals and ideas, which we haven't publicly yet disclosed. So there will be a time for that. But idea is right now to build out what we have planned. So the data lakes, the SDK for our third parties being able to build the data lakes, and the marketplace where people can deploy and run and monetize their data lakes and get as many users as possible using Tsunami and the data lakes and the data hubs. What else? We have some interesting integrations planned. Both we will expand the blockchain integrations as well as integrations with some centralized software providers. We will expand the product line vertically as well by building some application layers on top of the data that we have. One is PARSIQ Atlas, and there's more coming. So I think there will be a time to dive into a more expanded roadmap.
Yeah, I think while we're on this subject, it's just probably good thing to mention is that, I mean, we do have a lot of discussions about it recently. Like there are always like multiple ways that you can go, and there is like crazy amount of ideas from us, from the whole team. But what we want to do is actually focus on the data. Data is something that we have expertise in. We have like a lot of data, and I think we want to move in this direction. Not trying to split our focus to make like 10 products in different kind of niche industries.
Be the one-stop shop for blockchain data, the full suite solution.
Exactly.
So sorry, Anatoly, please go ahead.
No. Just building a full view of the data that ever happened in blockchain, their relations between each other, their probably maybe some economical relations between major players. So as you build more and more data, the more and more connections and relations become visible, and we want to discover them and pack them so they will be easily consumable by those who need it.
Definitely. I'll take a couple of community questions, but only related to Tsunami API before wrapping up. And So here's one. Can you please describe the back-end architecture behind Tsunami API?
I would say no. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of software built around the nodes to make it consistent at all times. Because even if you run like a set of nodes or like a pool of nodes in one location, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will act the same, and some will fall behind, some will have some other errors. So there is a lot of build around that to make our data like as as fresh as possible, like following the latest, trying to follow the latest propagated block to the chain. So there is a lot of to that. There is a lot of on database layer, like how we process data from the blocks and how we store them and how we make it like fast and efficient. There is a lot to Tsunami API itself and to the data lakes and it's and their SDK and data hub SDK. So there is a potentially one huge talk about the tech. Not really going to answer it quickly.
Can the advantage of using Tsunami API be quantified in dev hours saved, or maybe data storage costs? Yeah, definitely. I think comparing to things like building your own solutions, running your own nodes, or using node APIs and building non-scalable listeners and things like those, I think there could be a calculation done on how much dev hours could be saved and how many costs can be reduced.
Yeah, there is a lot to that. It all depends on the use case. It can save you starting from something as small as just running a node to actually tens of thousands of dollars per month if you want to have access to a lot of data at all times. The costs are increasing greatly the more chains you have. So definitely some calculations can be done, but yeah, it all heavily depends on the use case.
Hypothetically, will Tsunami API be able to work on private blockchains on premise?
I mean, I can take this one. It all depends. There is no answer yes or no here. It depends on once again depends on the use case. It is possible. I mean, if those private blockchains want to collaborate with us, technically everything is possible. So it is definitely it will be able to work on private chains if those chains want to integrate with us and want to actually collaborate on that.
Yeah, I think Anatoly and myself, we were discussing this years back of giving whether it's viable, whether it's a viable business decision to give the software on premise, license it on premise, and whether we want to integrate enterprise blockchains, private permission blockchains, built on Hyperledger Fabric and R3 Corda and so on and so forth. I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. So, but no, at least if those private blockchains they are just the instances of EVM chains, then why not? And I would say one potential target that we can explore is European blockchain services infrastructure that is actually Ethereum. And there is a lot of activity in this blockchain that maybe at one time will be interesting to analyze and provide information about what is happening at this level. It's just an EVM, so if there will be interest from there, we can go and just start to analyze this.
Definitely. And with them, so the whole feedback that we got in terms of how we built the product, how it works, how fast it is, how it solves some of the problems that people have with existing solutions, the ease of access and everything else. It's all been super positive. I didn't expect, that's why it's easier to sell to potential users, to potential projects. The combination of getting indexed historical data along with custom tailored specific data and the real-time push-based events is a pretty killer use case that I don't think anyone has implemented like this. And I think it's a huge market. Teams are coming in to build their existing protocols who are struggling every day. CeFi companies who are now looking more at DeFi. Everyone needs blockchain data. It's going to be an insanely huge market, and PARSIQ will take a good share. And I've never been more certain of it than now after we've done all this work, built the products, and worked with the alpha testers. So we even have different companies who have their own chains. Some of them I had never heard of, reaching out because they're struggling with data. And can we integrate their chain, which has a really narrow use case, but potentially we can integrate any public chain that has any usage and that will bring value to the users. So yeah, for me, I'm very hyped. I've never been as not for a long time, but as optimistic and motivated as now, and the whole team is like this. So I hope the community can also share some of that optimism because things are looking really good. So I'm very excited by what's coming in the roadmap. And yeah, like I said, just a start. So much more to do. Yeah, Danny, maybe you can share like what current or future implementation you're looking forward to the most, and what's has been or will be very challenging.
Yeah, basically for me, I would say the most interesting part here. I mean, Tsunami will keep growing. We will be bringing new chains. We will be bringing EVM-like, non-EVM-like chains as well. Maybe not like it's not like going to be one new chain every week or something like that. I don't think we ever want to go this direction, but we definitely want to keep up with the market. New chains will appear, some chains will die. You cannot predict it like from the day zero. You never can. So we will integrate many, like some of the chains. Some will probably not stay with us forever. Some will eventually. And for me, I guess, well, besides like kind of unannounced things, for me, the most interesting part is actually collaboration with the projects. So because when we started this, like let's say like this new venture, like in the beginning of this year, we actually, our like motto at that time, and still is, it is still, we are custom tailored DeFi, and that is something that excites me the most, because we can like tightly, like closely collaborate with other projects, with other like blockchain protocols, and perhaps even some like not completely blockchain use cases like Web3 to Web2 or vice versa, and work with them to solve their struggles. And this is it is really exciting part of this collaboration with others and working on their like business logics and different use cases. And I'm just happy that new platform actually allowed us to open our technology to various use cases instead of trying to come up with some standardized way for blockchain data, because with current state of things, it is not possible. The blockchain, like despite it's like being like 14 years old or around that, is just just being born right now, like being born as actual like projects and user coming in blockchain, and like the amount use cases, like it grows with the time. And actually the interesting part, like interesting life of blockchain will be at that moment when it actually will stop being only like kind of financial instrument, but then when it gets to the healthcare and governments and maybe votings and stuff like that, like the like real life use cases. So there is a lot of things to be excited about.
Yep, you heard it from the CTO himself. And last question to Anatoly, just in general, what's like, how do you see PARSIQ in the long-term future? How do you see it positioned in the market? Do you think by seeing so many people building on decentralized networks and distributed ledger technologies, seeing Web2 companies come in and utilize this technology, everyone will need data. Do you think the market will be big enough? And what's the opportunity here for PARSIQ to capitalize on?
I would say that I keep the same vision for PARSIQ as for me asked a year or 2 years ago. So it's a complete solution like a Google for blockchains that aggregates all the data in both statical aspect, dynamical aspect, and we are only on our very beginning of our journey, because blockchains they are now just as Daniil said that. Despite of 14 years or more, with us, blockchains, they are still young. They are still on stabilizing phase, where the world should select a set of technologies that will collaborate and become standard. And we want to scan all this data and scan not only a lower layer that happens only on the blockchain level, but all the processes that will be on top of these things. Because, for example, if we will compare it with internet, it is not very interesting to analyze TCP traffic itself for the TCP traffic, or something like that, because it's a very basic level. It is more interesting is what is built on top of this. And we already see things like DeFi protocols that are really the essence of the blockchain, and it's a phenomenon that created. And we now extracting more meaningful events from there and building entire maps of how data is distributed and how things collaborate with each other, because this data has so many insights for new ideas, for new businesses, for things. So we just will be the most complete solution for this type of data. And I would say that this is the PARSIQ's future.
Thank you, guys. That was any closing statements? And
Let's parse them.
let's parse. Yeah. Well. Thank you, Danny and Anatoly, for being here on this very, very important week for PARSIQ. Tsunami launch was a success. The early testing was a success. Now it's just expanding and amplifying everything, and onwards and upwards.
Yeah, thanks guys. It was fun.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. And
Thank
see
you.
you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.